Well, very pleased to welcome back to the Kootenays Canadian country singer Brett Kissel. Brett, welcome back to the area.
Well, thanks very much for the welcome. I love it here in this part of the world. It's truly one of the most beautiful places that we've ever been as a family, but been able to come out and play too. So
now you've been here a few times now, and this time you're in the midst of, I guess, your largest cross Canada tour to date.
That's right. Yeah, and this is the biggest ever Canadian country tour, the most extensive that there's ever been. And the fact that we're able to go out and play coast to coast to coast is very special. We haven't announced part 2 yet, but we'll play the Maritimes and the Territories in that run. But it's always a special feeling when you see a community like Cranbrook on the back of a tour T-shirt.
And you're doing this tour with your wife and your 2 children.
That's right.
One's a toddler, one's a baby.
Oh yeah.
How's that been for everyone?
It's been really great. Having my wife and daughters has been the best thing ever, because being on a tour this large and taking away this amount of time, from your life at home, we needed to make sure that the bus was home, and we'll probably spend close to 8 months on the road this year. So with all that said, any parent will tell you when they're this little, they change so fast, and I can only imagine what it would have been like if I would have come home at the end of this run and not been able to recognize my girls.
What do your girls think of being on the road and being on the bus?
Well, it's interesting. We had a few days off, and we had a house to stay in. We stayed with my big brother and his wife at their place outside of Edmonton. And they missed the bus. I know they did. They missed my daughter loves her little bunk, and they love their system. And I think kids enjoy a routine. And the routine that we've got on the bus is very, very special. And my wife is the best wife ever. So she has so many great activities planned for our girls, and our life on the bus has been one of the most special memories I think we've ever encountered.
So when you're completely finished this tour, what are your plans? What do you like to do to wind down afterwards? I imagine you probably have to take the family on a good vacation with no bus.
Yeah, a good vacation I think is in order for us. And I don't mind saying this. My goal is to do a lot of drinking, because on a tour of this size, when you have so many dates back to back, you can't. This isn't the old days of like my heroes, guys like Johnny Cash and the guys in the 50s, 60s, 70s, pouring back the whiskey. If I did that, I'd have lost my voice a long time ago. So with that said, I think once our final show is complete, when we wrap things up in Vancouver for part 1, you can bet that we're gonna have probably 2-3 days off, and there might be a hangover. I'm just saying it right now. Honesty's the best policy.
So you plan on hydrating?
That's right, and hydrating really well.
Hydration is important. What else do you like to do in your spare time when you're not on the road?
Well, for us, we're very lucky that we are on the road all the time. So we have to make sure that our life on tour can resemble something of, that's normal to others and normal to ourselves. So I love sports. In the summer, I bring my clubs along everywhere I go, and I love to play golf. We've had a lot of fun, being that this is a winter tour, hooking up with a lot of local hockey teams and some minor hockey teams and AJHL in Alberta and stuff like that, and making sure that we can strap on the skates and go and play. And I like to play goalie, even though I'm awful. So I like to stack the pads a little bit, and my boys can let out a little frustration, because as the lead singer in the band, I say this affectionately and respectfully, but kind of the boss, Yeah. Whereas when I'm the goalie and these guys are firing howitzers at me, I think it lets them blow off a little bit of steam. Yeah. So
I guess we should probably talk about this guy here.
Nice.
This is the latest album.
It's the new record.
First of all, the first thing I noticed was Charlie Pride's name appeared underneath one of those songs. Talk about working with Charlie Pride.
Well, I appreciate you noticing that. Charlie and I have formed a friendship over the last few years since I played the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. So I got his number, and I always said, one of these days I'd really love to do a song with you and collaborate. And we finally made that happen on this record, and I flew to Dallas to go to his studio, and Charlie and I recorded a song called Burgers and Fries. And it's a real nostalgic song from kind of the mid-'70s that he recorded, but it's a sad song. It really talks about previous generations and how good it was back then, and I thought it'd be perfect for a 27-year-old to sing it with a 77-year-old with 50 years in between.
Who's next on your list of wanting to work with?
Garth Brooks. 100%. Being able to collaborate with him on stage has been a dream come true, and it's kind of been like the best day ever on tour, playing with him. But now going into the studio with Garth would be amazing.
Does he know this?
With George Strait. Does Garth? I'm sure Garth watches here, Shaw and the Kootenays. So
you got to tell him,
So
Brett.
Garth, I'm telling you right now, the next record, I'd be honored to do a duet with you.
There you go. We got the scoop. Yeah, you got to tell him. He can't
Well, I agree. I mean,
wait around for
and
him.
you always have to put it out into the universe. My wife is a big believer in that. You want something, you got to say it. You got to make it happen. So maybe what we'll do is, I know that this airs on TV, but it'll also air online. Maybe I'll text him a link and see what he thinks.
Sounds good. Now, I know the other thing I always think about when I think about Brett Kissel is, wouldn't it be awesome if he did something with Dave Mustaine? Because, Megadeth, Kissel.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect combo.
What was that like?
This has been the most interesting question in interviews such as this, when people are talking about how heavy metal god got together with a Canadian country singer, and Dave and I have just formed a friendship. He and his family are really close to my family as well, and when we were in Scotland together, I was on a songwriting retreat with his daughter Electra. And that's, I think, when our friendship took it to another level. And Dave literally just said, as I was driving him back to the airport, as he was resuming his tour, he said, "So when are you going to ask me to play guitar on your record?" I'm like, "Dave, you'd actually want to do that on a country record?" He said, "Hell yeah." So we did it, and his only stipulation was it had to be one of the most badass tracks I've ever written. So I had this song that was a real rocker, and it's called Damn. And with that said, Dave loved it, and he put his guitar work to that, and I think it takes this whole track to a new level.
Did you get together in the studio to do that?
We didn't. I think he recorded his part somewhere in Asia, while he was on his world tour. But that's the power of technology now, is that he and I can be talking and texting back and forth, and it doesn't matter the time zone. He says, "Send me the track," and he laid his guitar work, and honestly, it was perfect.
Now you got to get a cameo on the next Megadeth record.
You know what? Let's put that into the universe. You hear that, Dave? I'll send you a link. I'm ready to go.
All right, this is Brett's bucket list here. Looking ahead, how soon do you, once you wrap up this tour, how soon do you begin to work on the next album and plan for the next record?
Well, the next record and the next tour is already in the works. I'm not the kind of guy who likes to sit idle, and especially when you're in the heart of things right now and everything is so fresh, a lot of ideas and things that I feel we could be doing better or be doing differently, or things that we've been doing really well. It's important to write those things down. And my parents had always an analogy when we were doing these gigs when I was a little kid, and my mom especially would say, "What do you want to start doing? What do you want to stop doing? What do you want to keep doing?" And so I write those down pretty much for every show. And what should we start doing to make our next visit to Cranbrook even better? What do we need to stop doing? And then what should we keep doing? What is going to work really well tonight? So with all that said, the next album, it's in the works already. I'm writing for it. I'm thinking about it. The next tour, and we've got it booked for 2020 already. We know where we're going. We know how we're getting there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
How many songs do you have?
Well, right now I've written, just over a dozen songs. My record came out in December, and being on the road for me, it's very difficult to write. I'm very distracted and just focusing on the show. Whereas once the tour wraps up and we move home to Nashville, I've got maybe 30, 40 songwriting appointments lined up, and I think we'll write close to 200 songs for the next record.
Wow. Well, we look forward to catching you around
Thanks, man.
this area again.
And I look forward to holding the microphone and talking about the bucket list. Maybe we'll see if by the next record, if we were able to cross a few things off.
Make some of these dreams happen.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us here on Shot TV.
Thanks, buddy.